All right, well, it looks like we have everyone here. So I wanted to thank you for joining us for our March installment of our Outdoor Florida webinar series. This installment, we're going to be celebrating Florida Bicycle Month with two really experienced speakers. I'm really excited to be highlighting Florida Bicycle Month as a native Floridian myself. Always love bicycling, always love getting outdoors, especially if it means I don't have to run. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. So to kind of give a brief introduction, our first speaker is Becky Afonso from the Florida Bicycle Association. Becky is a native Floridian from the Tampa Bay area and has favored bicycle commuting since her grade school days in Clearwater. She holds a degree in mass communications from Loyola University in New Orleans, specializing in television news directing, which has given her all sorts of skills that have really equipped her over the last 3 decades in the cycling community, which she's held so many different hats and so many different roles in project management, route logistics, marketing, and even event directing. Becky is currently in her 8th year as the executive director of the Florida Bicycle Association, which is a statewide nonprofit organization whose mission is bicycle safety education. And we are going to hear a lot more about FBA in her presentation today. Our second speaker is Lisa Lake. Lisa joined Bike Florida in April of 2021 as an executive assistant. And in January of 2022, Lisa was named the executive director of Bike Florida. Lisa has over 25 years of experience in small business ownership and as well as 10 years experience in the nonprofit sector. She holds a BFA from the University of Connecticut as well as a master's in education from the Central Connecticut State University and has taught at both Ringling College of Art and Design and Portland State University. Lisa is a longtime bike commuter and active weekend cyclist, and in her free time, she also loves gardening, painting, and traveling, which I need to hit Lisa up for some painting tips because I can't paint a stick figure to save my life. So I'm really excited to have these two speakers today. And we're going to kick things off with letting Becky Afonso take the floor.
All right. Well, thank you, Michaela. I appreciate that. And yes, I am going into my 8th year with the Florida Bicycle Association. But the Florida Bicycle Association is celebrating its 25th anniversary, and I've actually been a member for all 25 years. And in addition to our celebration, it's Florida Bicycle Month, as mentioned earlier. So yes, this is the time of year to go out there. And if you're not a cyclist, give it a try. You'd be surprised what you can accomplish within 1 to 3 miles of your own home. Some people may question, why is this month Florida Bicycle Month? It's the weather pretty much. March is a great time to get out there. National Bike Month is coming up in May, so we'll have a celebration for that too. But what I wanted to do today is kind of give an overview of our association and some of the networking and relationships that we build throughout the state of Florida. So this slide looks a little daunting because it is. Yes, this is the Florida Bicycle Association networking scope. So what I'm going to do is I'll break that down into little segments to make it a little bit easier to understand. So that first segment's on the national level. So yes, we work with US Congress and federal for policy. That's primarily funding that trickles down from Congress to the state of Florida, to your metropolitan planning organization or transportation planning agency to do a project for a complete street or a safe street. So that's important in things that we do working with the League of American Bicyclists. And we also work with state advocacy groups as well. And we work with EMBA, and that's the International Mountain Biking Association. And SORBA is the Southern Association of that offshoot. So on the national level, what we have is National Bike Month coming up at the end of this month. And I serve as the state coordinator. So we have delegates from the state of Florida that go up, enjoy the summit and all the presentations. But then a few of us take it upon ourselves to do what is called Advocacy Day, where I'm making meetings with Congress people and senators. And we go in there and we talk about what the league is asking us on the federal level as far as asks. And this particular summit, we're going to be asking for funding for healthy streets. And if you need more information on that, you can contact me. And on that SORBA level, this is that Southern Regional for the Mountain Bike Association. We're actually having a summit in Tallahassee coming up next weekend. And Florida Bicycle Association is happy to be sponsoring the opening reception. It just turns out to be St. Patrick's Day. So there'll be some green beer, we're hoping, but there'll be something there that the association is sponsoring. So we're looking forward to attending that. Then on the state level, we've got clearly the Office of Greenways and Trails through the Department of Environmental Protection. Department of Health, we work with them. We work with the Department of Transportation, and we work with legislators. So for the Department of Transportation, they actually have a bicycle safety coalition known as Alert Today Florida. And we work with Alert Today Florida through that coalition to address concerns such as fatality rates and crashes, and to make things better, improvements not only in infrastructure, but in engineering, education, enforcement. All of these components are actually in the coalition. We break out in emphasis areas and we address those needs. There have been several accomplishments in the past 6 years from this coalition, including one which was one that may not have been on anybody's radar. And that was when we had hospital reports come back with internal bleeding from crashes of cyclists. Well, when a cyclist goes down, they may look fine and you may not know they have internal bleeding. Well, we found through hospital reports that that was big. And so now EMTs have been alerted that any type of crash with a pedestrian or cyclist to look for internal bleeding as a means to save their life. So we're very happy that that was something that was brought to the attention and we were able to share that information. Also on the state level, here's something fun, right? For this month, Florida Bicycle Month, the Department of Transportation is hosting a Love to Ride Challenge. So this is an opportunity where you can actually go on this website, register, start logging your miles. It doesn't matter where you ride, it's just that you ride. So you off-road riders, you're riding for fun, log those miles. You have an opportunity to win prizes, and that's always a fun thing to do, especially when the weather is so nice out. And then on the regional level, we work with bike walk areas. There's an Indian River County bike walk, Coral Gables bike walk Central Florida. We're working with them with educational programming or any other type of resourcing that we can do. And then we also work with what I mentioned before, MPOs, Metropolitan Planning Organizations, and the bicycle pedestrian advisory committees within those organizations. One of which right here in my county, Pinellas, is Forward Pinellas. And you'll see, because I serve on that BPAC committee, that we actually have a Florida Bicycle Association agenda item where I can mention things that are going on around the state or answer any questions that any of the members may have. And then, of course, on the local level, well, we're always working with our members throughout the state. Do talk with City Council here in Oldsmar. In fact, I've got our city doing a challenge for our online bicycle safety quiz. So this is coming from the city of Oldsmar. It's a mayor's challenge, and they put it online so that you can just click that and take our online quiz. And then the municipality with the highest percentage of participation is going to win an award. So we're looking forward to this, and I hope other municipalities are doing it. And if you're interested to get your municipality to do it, just give me a shout and I'll help you with that. So next on the agenda with networking, so we went over who we're talking to, and this is what we're talking about. It's educational programming. So we have a speakers bureau, and that's where you can contact me and make arrangements. Like if you're with a library, we can go in there and do a presentation. Homeowners associations, Rotary clubs, anybody out there that's looking for some information, bicycle safety, sharing the road, anything like that. We can curtail that presentation or give one of our standard presentations. Whatever you need for content, we can provide it. We also house an Ask Geo website that's actually to answer questions with regards to bicycle laws. And that's archived right now, but any other nuanced laws can just come directly to our association. We have publications such as the Law Enforcement Guide and the Florida Bicycling Street Smarts Cycling Savvy Edition. We do annual awards every year. We open up nominations to the public in various categories. And then we announce those winners on March 1st, and which we have done for our 2021 recipients. And then we spend this month through May making those presentations. And then that bottom one, you barely can see it, Ride Leader, Ride Marshal is what that stands for. And what that is that's a certification program for group riding. So if you're in a club and you want to step it up a little bit and get into ride leadership or ride marshaling, like at a charity ride, this is a certification program to go over those nuanced things with group riding. So we just recently did certify some ride leaders. These are members of the Village Idiot Cycling Association, or Cycling Club, I should say. And we do have another certification coming up on Saturday, April 2nd. So that information is on our website. And of course, for the awards, we're starting to press those out. And actually, our Vice President, Patty Huff, did this one for the City of Everglades City as our bicycle-friendly recipient for 2021. Lots of great things going on in Everglades City if you haven't been down there. We also are development, but we're actually getting some really good teeth into this one. It's called the Bicycle Infrastructure Assistance Program. This is actually being run by Ed Barsotti, who's a former executive director of Ride Illinois. And he's a snowbird now in Florida, and he loves this kind of stuff. So he offered to help our association with it, and we put him right to work because we're not going to say no to that. And he's actually had some successes. Bike Walk Indian River County was looking for signage on A1A. And through the work with Ed and the Florida Department of Transportation, we now have a sign that can be used on any road race, state-owned or otherwise. I think it's in the Green Book, to show that cyclists must have 3 feet of passing clearance when a motorist is passing a cyclist. He's also worked with the Village Idiot Cycling Club and has put back a bike lane that was disappearing in a project on a resurfacing in that area. So if you're having some issues in your area, we have this on our website. You can contact us and we'll try to help you as best we can. And then, as I mentioned earlier, our online bicycle safety quiz. This is actually coming from Ride Illinois, and they're making that online quiz that they developed available to other states. So we picked up on it. It's different because it follows Florida state laws, but it is online. It's about 25 or so questions. You learn as you go. You don't have to read anything in advance. You actually just start taking the quiz. If you get something incorrect, it will start to walk you through how to correct that answer. And in the grand scheme of things, you're learning as you go. And you always have the opportunity to get the gold level certificate. So there's a bronze level, silver level, gold level. Gold level is the one that if you qualify for the gold level certificate, take a selfie, send it to me. I can actually send you some of our 25th anniversary Sock Guy socks. So that's pretty exciting stuff. In fact, we're showing here that the mayor of Arcadia took the quiz, got the gold certificate. Haven't sent him any socks yet, but I'll have to talk to him about that, what color he wants. But this is kind of the fun stuff that municipalities can do in a mayor's challenge with our online safety quiz. So if anybody's looking for information on that, be sure to contact me after the seminar. And so that's the broad range of what the Florida Bicycle Association does in the state of Florida. We network, we build relationships, and we provide programming. So if you're having any questions about that, I took a little screenshot of our website. A lot of information on there. I put the website address in the center there. But we have information for bicyclists, for motorists, clearly some of the things like the Love to Ride. But if you actually just kind of look at that center one right there, click on the March month events. That page actually will have the links to the recipients of our awards, events going on around the state, and the proclamation from the governor. So the governor did sign a proclamation making March Florida Bicycle Month. So with that, I'll just leave it with any questions, comments. I think those are coming afterward, but there's my information, and I appreciate everybody's time this morning.
Thank you so much, Becky. Yes, we will have some time at the end for questions, feedback, anything like that. So right now we're going to kind of shift gears over to Lisa with Bike Florida and kind of talk about their networks and their partnerships. All right. So Lisa, I will pass it off to you.
Can you hear me now? Okay. I'm the director of Bike Florida, newly minted, just in about 8 weeks. It's been a heck of a ride so far, and we're just getting ourselves together after the pandemic. and I'll explain that further. Bike Florida has been around since 1994. And a brief history of Bike Florida is that we looking at fundraising organization to help the Florida Bicycle Safety Education Program. And that's something I know that Becky is involved with as well. We get money from various places that we then put into this kind of education. And they have the FTBSEP has people that go out, do education within the community, and then we give them a stipend per se. Okay. Bike Florida used to do what we called the Big Spring Tour, and that was our main fundraiser. We are no longer going to do that going forward. We found out through looking through our books that that wasn't a very viable option for us and took us almost a whole year to put together. We also did week-long luxury tours, 1 or 2, plus the Big Spring Tour. And we are looking at that now and finding that we're going to do smaller niche tours, and I'll explain that later. So 2019 to 2021, Bike Florida begins to reassess and reconfigure their mission statement, and then the pandemic hits. Our new mission statement. Our mission statement is to help Florida communities improve their economic health, bicycle infrastructure, and safety through bicycle tourism. So let me explain the components there. Improving their economic health means going into the community, helping them with small bicycle infrastructure, such things as getting bike lanes painted, bike racks set up. We recently installed a bike stanchion in a couple of communities that have the tools to repair your bike, do simple repairs, change your wheel out, raise your seat, all that kind of stuff. And then with this bicycle infrastructure, we begin to build communities who are healthier, do more biking because the infrastructure is there for them to enjoy their bike, a place to park their bike, a place to work on their bike. And then we also do safety through bicycle tourism. So these smaller tours that we're going to be doing, each time we go into the community, we are looking to improve what they do through bicycle safety. So the tours will go through several towns, and then we have a start-off, kickoff of each day where we have probably a Chamber of Commerce president or a mayor, hopefully, come out and speak about, what's going on in their community. And then we end up letting them work with them to make things better for the next time we roll through their town. This is a 2018 was the last spring tour, and this is two of our riders that we captured. So just a fun little picture. Okay, community partnerships. So here is, we obviously after listening to Becky, we let FBA do all of the heavy lifting, but we also, our community partnerships consist of economic health, which we talked about, smaller bicycle tours, which we talked about, the Sunflower Tour, which is our first tour with 36 women on board, will be March 31st through April 3rd. 4 days, and we ride from Titusville to St. Petersburg, about 50 miles, 60 miles a day, depending on the day. Those are the kinds of tours that we want to start promoting. There's a women's only tour. We want to protect women and promote women in the biking industry. There are not a lot of women only bike rides, and we find this to be a place that we can really settle in nicely and help them grow their bicycle skills and their bicycle education. Okay, so then we do bike safety. We go into communities and we do bike safety courses, kind of like a bicycle 101, how to ride, how to prepare yourself and your bike safely. We go into communities we also do learn to ride, where we have bicycles that we ride with people who have never ridden a bike, and they kind of like a tandem bike, and they learn how to ride, and along with that they learn about safety, helmets, when you should get rid of your helmet and get a new helmet. We do a lot of promotional giving away through there, including bicycles. Recently, I have been going across the state as the executive assistant, visiting bicycle shops and bicycle clubs. And I have found that they didn't really know what our organization did. So that was a good thing for us to do. And we gave away a lot of swag and communicated to them about, what we do and what we can do for their community. So we've got quite a few calls about going into their communities and offering our little bicycle safety 101. We talked about the bicycle infrastructure already. And the main thing that the new twist on Bike Florida is going to be that we're going to focus on underserved communities. That means communities that might not have a lot of bicycle infrastructure are looking to boost their economic health through getting more bicycle tourism through their town. And one of those partnerships is with the city of Groveland. So we're partnering for a full year with the city of Groveland. And that means that from January 2022 to December 2022, we have at least one event within their community. And we are putting in things like bike racks and bike stanchions. We are leading a ride, a centennial ride in April. This is Groveland Centennial. And then we are going in there for meetings about rerouting some things through their infrastructure they have a couple of trails going through their community to make those trails connect with each other, and then to make them, well marked and visible for everyone going through there. We're really excited about this partnership, and we're really excited about the possibility of partnering with more cities and towns throughout Florida to bring kind of bicycle tourism through their communities and all the benefits that comes with that. We are also planning on a ciclovia where we will close off several streets, and it will just be walking and bicycle riding, and roll out from the stores can come right out onto the sidewalks and have all their stuff there that people can then purchase. Restaurants will be out on the sidewalk and into the streets. We're really looking forward to that. It's a very European take on bicycle tourism, but we've been looking into it, and the city of Groveland is ripe for this kind of thing, and we'd love to do it in more communities. Okay, so the other partnership we have is with Becky and her wonderful Florida Bicycle Association. We do the Share the Road program, which is a license plate that we advocate for and market for, and then we sell. The sales come in through the state of Florida and are dispersed to Bike Florida. And then the proceeds are split between Florida Bicycle Association and Bike Florida. We take 25% for marketing expenses, which we market, Share the Road through all kinds of things. Every water bottle, every lanyard, everything that we give out, flip-flops, are labeled with the Share the Road license plate. It's a great thing to do. I love it. The plate is very popular. We're hoping it becomes more popular the more that we pass out all kinds of goodies and labels with the Bike Florida Share the Road plate on it. One of the things we recently did was a rack card that we have been giving out to these 100 shops that we've been visiting and bicycle clubs. And this is basically a Share the Road little thing about how the license plate profits work, where they go to, and then a QR code that they can scan right to the Share the Road and buy the plate. These are the kinds of fun things that I get to do to promote Share the Road, and I love it. Next slide, thank you. So to wrap it up, I'm still new. It's been, a hectic kind of 8 weeks, and with the tour screaming down on us, I've been doing a lot of that, finagling, booking hotel rooms. We have a proclamation that the various states, elders, statesmen will come out and sign each time that we're passing through a place. We'll be starting in Titusville, and then we will go to Claremont, and then we will be in Odessa, Trinity area. And each time we're going to have this proclamation signed by people who come out and start the ride. So we're looking forward to that. And thank you to Florida Bicycle Association for, rounding me up for this. And that's it.
Thank you so much, Lisa. It sounds like a lot of exciting things coming up for Bike Florida, at least that I know I'm excited about, and I'm sure a lot of the people here today are excited about. So that kind of leaves us with a decent amount of time to open up the floor for some questions. If anyone has any questions for Becky or Lisa, feel free to put them in the chat, or you can unmute and ask through there. So I'll kind of give it a minute or two to see if anyone types any of their questions in the chat box. I'll also take this moment to let everyone know that we have been recording this webinar, and we will be sending out the recording link this Friday. It will be posted to our YouTube channel, so you can watch it back whenever you want. You could also send it to anyone else that you think would enjoy this material or would just like to get in contact with Bike Florida or the Florida Bicycle Association. So we'll be sending that out on Friday right after this webinar. We'll also be sending out a survey link just to get your feedback and see how we can better provide topics and really figure out what you would like to hear from the Outdoor Florida webinar series next, and a link to register for any of our upcoming webinars, which we do once a month. They are the second Wednesday of every month. So feel free to jump on the Florida Office of Greenways and Trails website, and you can register for all of our upcoming webinars. All right, so I know I have a couple of questions, so maybe I'll get the ball rolling. Both of you run incredibly successful organizations that have such a broad reach over the third largest state in the country, which seems like to someone who hasn't started this that you're doing so much, but it can kind of seem like a whirlwind of where do you even start when it comes to networking? When someone's sitting down and they're working for a cause, whether it's safe roads or economic health with biking, they're sitting there saying, I really think my community could benefit from this, but who do I even contact first? Where would you recommend people who want to start on this journey really get the ball rolling and start on it?
Want to take that first, Becky?
Sure. Oh, you want me to take it? Okay, well, I get questions like this all the time. Either somebody calls or sends me an email, and it can be daunting trying to figure out where to start. We have a lot of resources on our website. I like to tease about this or kid about it, that if you're an insomniac, go to our website. It will either keep you busy or cure you, depending on what you want to consume on that website. There is plenty of information. It's going to require a few clicks, certainly, because that's how much information is on there. But in the grand scheme of things, just starting out, and I can't stress this enough, it's about relationship building. And as you start one relationship, you start getting connected into another relationship. And that's how I've got to where we've got those resources on our website. It's about knowing who to contact. We'll put it out there, but I may know somebody specifically that I could reach out to because I've built relationships. So that's kind of where I would start with it. I'll be happy to take those emails. Email's my preference, and help anybody that needs it. Okay, Lisa, your turn.
Okay, well, I'll defer everybody to Florida Bicycle Association. There is a wealth of information, and that's where I go to for a lot of my connections. I'm like, okay, who's doing what where? And then I find out. A lot was handed to me, and I'm still sifting through those relationships and connecting with people. A lot happened within the first 3 weeks, and I have a lot of reaching back out to do, because people have reached out to me. And as soon as I am, done finagling this tour, the Sunflower Tour that we have coming up, I will reach out to everybody. It is, like Becky said, it is about just showing up and being at meetings and connecting with people. And like Becky said, one relationship, tips over to another relationship, rolls over to another relationship. And it is just showing up and being there and communicating.
That is awesome. I'm going to definitely, I know every once in a while I take a scroll through the Florida Bicycle Association website. And when I first started, one of my first meetings, Becky was speaking, and I remember getting her newsletter and reading through it. And I was like, this is just a wealth of knowledge. So I completely agree. But I think especially a question now that a lot of people would probably like a little bit of insight on is the importance of adaptation when it comes to running a massive organization or a large reaching organization of, I know, Lisa, you were talking about Bike Florida adapting their mission statement to kind of continue to grow. And I know that Florida Bicycle Association, you've been around for 25 years. There's got to be a lot of room for adaptation and change, whether it's change in the type of events that you're running or change in mission or even just change in partnership or how you go about partnerships. I kind of wanted to get both of your input on the importance of sustainability and how adaptation and really molding to what. I mean, in the middle of the pandemic, a lot of people were either hesitant to go outside or they were running to go outside and take up something like biking. So how did both of you and your organizations really embrace adaptation to continue the sustainability of your work?
Okay, I'll start with that one. The pandemic was really, because we thrive on bike tourism, was really a, stomp on our organization, basically. We had no money coming in. We had, unlike Florida Bicycle Association, we are not a membership-driven organization. So we get our money from holding events, basically, and then connecting with other sponsorships that we have with cities and towns that we're doing work in. So the pandemic was really just a holding phase for us, which kind of made us look and reflect on how we needed to adapt to survive. And one of those things was, not running huge tours anymore that took up great swaths of our time so that we can be in a lot of different communities doing our work. A lot of communities that would never have seen us before because we were so busy planning these big tours. There are other, CAM events. There's 1,000 other places in Florida. It seems like 1,000 other places that do these kind of huge tours. So pivoting to those smaller tours lets us get them together within a short period of time, get people onboarded, do the event, all the while still having time to plan the next event, which is, I think, the biggest thing that we've had to do is plan how to keep continually leapfrogging. And that's our story for so far. Stay tuned.
Yeah, sustainability is tough. Our board is still talking about that. But I like the idea that we do talk about it because things do change. And I like to think that our board of directors knows that and is willing to put in some information that helps us roll right along, right? The pandemic, clearly, that was a pivotal point for us. We do in-person stuff, and we had to change that to virtual, which actually allowed for our membership meeting to be better attended because people from the Panhandle could actually virtually join us as opposed to trying to make plans into the Tampa Bay market. So we found ways around that. In fact, a lot of industries that were finding ways around it, the Department of Transportation picked up Love to Ride because it was kind of a do your own ride, but you can clock your miles and we'll keep track of that. And I believe Joy had set up a virtual Bike Florida tour of some sort where you could go out and ride in an area, take pictures, and it was like you were doing your own tour. So there were means of doing this. And then, as far as staying relevant and sustainable, it was just a matter of continuing with those programs and finding ways to provide those programs. So virtually, we were able to do that. Clearly, we're going back into in-person now where it's allowed. One of our successes was with Ride Leader Ride Marshal. In that program, we did go virtual, and now we're kind of doing a hybrid where we're in an outdoor pavilion that is screened in. So that lends itself to some, fresh air. And worked out really well for the ones that showed up. And it's at Lake Parker Park in Lakeland, and that's where we'll be again April 2nd. So I'm kind of glad with that direction. It's not anything you would have in a 5-year strategic business plan, but it's why we always go back and revisit those business plans so that we can update it and keep current.
Absolutely. I think you really hit it on the head when you said there are things that you don't include in your strategic plan, but being flexible, things happen. And I think both of your organizations are a testament to, as long as you stay malleable and adaptive, you can still remain relevant. And on the topic of being relevant and having an impact, I know something that I've always wondered, and a lot of questions that we've gotten is, how do you gain that recognition of your organization? I mean, how do you gain the recognition of Florida Bicycle Association to be able to walk in and partner with government entities? And Bike Florida, how do you gain that recognition to partner with a city for a year-long promotion? I mean, that means that your organization is so recognizable and so trusted that you really have that avenue where you can send an email, and with that email signature, they immediately know who you are and they know what your work is done. So how do you really build that recognition for what you do and what your organization's impact and mission is?
I bet Lisa wants me to go first. Well, I'll tell you, basically, you have to earn it. You have to earn respect. You want that relationship. I know when I took this position 8 years ago, I had to go back out and talk to people and just make sure they knew that we were still around, Florida Bicycle Association, and what we could do for them. So I'm not always going to be that person that's demanding things or complaining about things. I want to help. I've learned through the process that it's constructive criticism. It's not just to criticize. And this is where that relationship building really starts to pay off. Sometimes I use a metaphor of, would you hang out with the friend that's always, complaining about something, or the friend that's going to help you? And I want to be the friend that wants to help. So one of the first things we did with legislators at the state and federal level was just to let them know, hey, you get some questions about cycling, I'm your resource. I'll help you. And that's paid off in the long term. And I believe that's going to continue. So that's where I'm with it. Every day earning your respect.
I agree with that.
Absolutely, because that's something, we've highlighted a lot of really amazing speakers in the Outdoor Florida webinar series, but something I've always wondered, and I thought this was the perfect opportunity to ask, is how do you get that recognition? So I also wanted to ask about, both of you talked about a lot of variety when it comes to your partnerships, that organizational flow chart that you had, Becky, where you really broke it down to, it's everything from congressional members to county commissioners. It's a lot of different variety. And how, on a scale, how important do you think that is to really maintaining that longevity of having kind of your hands in so many different pockets of, we work with these high level entities, but then we also work with local communities? Because I know, Lisa, with Bike Florida, you had spoken about, you do a lot more on the ground, event-based, really working hands-on, and your partnerships are just as impactful. So do you think there's really one way to go about the variety that you have in partnerships, or is it just about the quality over the quantity?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I think it's about both. I think that there has to be quantity to be able to grow and thrive, but the quantity has to be quality at the same time. So for us, it's meeting in person. When I first started as the executive assistant last year, I began driving around the state, and I had, rack cards with me, and a lot of people had to explain, like, who are we? What did we do? There were a lot of bicycle shops that didn't know about us, a lot of community members in these towns that didn't know about us. And when I visited bicycle shops, I always also connected with some sort of upper level person, in the town while I was there as well, just even for a meet and greet or a quick phone call. So that worked well, getting our name back out there. I think, with the pandemic, we are known for tourism. So without the big spring tour for 3 years, 2019, 2020, 2021, I think we kind of fell off everybody's radar. We were doing a lot of networking within our, virtual networking, appearing at different summits and appearing in different things that we thought would advance our cause. But as far as the upper echelon, like Becky is so far deep into that kind of stuff, and we kind of just keep track of what they're doing and how we can support it and get out there into community and get people biking.
You say that, Lisa, and the association supports Bike Florida. But Michaela, you bring up an interesting point. It's not just Becky. It can't be just Becky. In fact, I'm usually in front of a bicycle club saying, don't use Becky in the court of law. It won't get you nowhere. It's the relationships. It's maybe I don't know the city council member from outside of my community, but I probably know a bicycle club or a bike walk organization that does. And that's that reputation of respect that gets me into that room to the point where now it is recognizable. I can go up into Tallahassee and walk the Senate or House chambers, and they can see the logo because they get the messenger. They know exactly who we are and what we're about. So, to that point, I think it's just important across the board that we remain accessible to the members, to the public, and work those relationships with, just trying to make things better. We're about improvement. So that's what we're here for. And I'm happy to do it, but Becky does get Becky time. So let's not forget that.
Absolutely. That was a really great answer from both of you. I think a lot of people are torn sometimes when they're networking of what path do I go? Do I want to have really, really good relationships, or do I want a lot of them? So I think both of you are proof that you can do both, and both are helpful, because if you have really good networks, they can get you even more networks. Like you were saying, Becky, if you have a really good connection with a bike club, they can get you into the room that you need to get into. And with Lisa, like you're saying, it's about both. It's about creating a lot of networks that you get that recognizable aspect to your organization, but also they need to be of quality for longevity. So I think that's really, really great information. I think one of the other questions that I do have is, both of you, I know, Lisa, you just started with Bike Florida, but the impact that your organization has had on communities, I would really love to give both of you the opportunity to talk about the really boots on the ground impact of promoting biking within communities, promoting this economic health of bringing biking tourism to communities. Because I think, coming from the Office of Greenways and Trails, we always want to talk about how important these aspects in your community are. Having this outdoor aspect, having this recreation aspect in your community has so many benefits beyond just getting people outside. So I'd love to give both of you an opportunity to talk about just the impact that you've seen in your work.
Great, I can start with that. Yeah, I think that, our future going forward with the small tours and with the partnerships with cities and towns is going to be a great way to drive that economic health into communities. And the physical health benefits can't be, unspoken either. That's a two-way, that's a two-pronged success story. And I think that's what communities are looking for. They're also looking to have a healthier community, because a healthier community thrives. So get outdoors, get on bikes, get walk. We work a lot with Bike Walk Tampa Bay, which is, both pedestrian and bicycle. So I'm learning a lot at that end as far as, pedestrian safety. And, just as when you're doing a tour with a lot of bicyclists, you have to know that stuff too. And you have to, we'll have a little seminar before we start our ride with our riders about how, we have to be careful. We're going to be on trails with walkers. How do you do that? And I think that just getting out there, and the benefits are going to be endless.
Yeah, this, how you can track the benefits. I've always looked at this job as being about saving lives. So it's hard for me to understand how I'm saving lives, because what we hear about, of course, are the crashes and fatalities. But I can't help but think we are saving lives, and that maybe that number could be greater, but it is not. What really makes it for me is the enjoyment that people get when they realize alternative transportation is at their disposal and they can do it. We talk about riding, safely, but we also ride smart. And that's where that education pays off. I can get in front of my city council and say that I cycle about 3,000 to 5,000 miles every year because I'm riding my bike to Publix or the library or the post office. And it's not just on trails, it's on roads. And the communications and eye contact that I make with motorists, it lessens that, it makes it a human experience. And we both get through the traffic light with no issue. So, that's where I am with it as far as my own personal experience. But I like to think that I could be a role model for others, and that's what they're doing. And clearly, not everybody reports back to the association. I think that would overwhelm me in email. But I like the idea that communities around Florida are clearly striving in this area. We've got trail towns that are being across the state. We've got communities that are taking off. We've got trail systems that are connecting and starting to take off. And those communities embedded in those are going to start experiencing that bicycle tourism that Lisa talks about. And this is just a win for the state of Florida. So I would hope that everybody stays positive and, you know, keeps looking at it as we're doing a good thing.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for both of you. Does anyone else have any questions for our speakers today? Like I said, feel free to put them in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and ask any question that you have for either Becky, Lisa, or both of them. And if you think of any questions afterwards for either Becky or Lisa, because I know always for some reason it seems like after I leave a webinar at like 3 in the morning, I'll think of 15 other questions that I'm like, oh, dang it, I should have asked that. So if you do have any questions for either of them, I will go ahead and put the Office of Greenways and Trails email address in the chat for everyone. If you have any questions about this webinar, any of the upcoming webinars, or for Becky or Lisa, feel free to email us at that email. I did get one question. So do either of you have a recommendation for a bike for seniors?
Oh.
It really is a matter of the type of riding that you're going to do, where you're going to ride. You may want to start with a bike shop and start asking the sales reps in there with that. If they want to contact me directly, I'll call them and walk them through some processes. But it's not just one bike for seniors. It's really a matter of that person, what their capabilities are, where they're going to ride.
I agree with that. It's all of the above, yes. And if they want to communicate with me, I feel free.
Absolutely. So I believe that was Anne that asked that. So if you want, you can go ahead and email the Office of Greenways and Trails, and I will get you connected and get that recommendation for you, because the more bikers, the better. We'd love to have everyone out biking. And I think Becky and Lisa would agree to that as well. So if you have, like I said, any questions, you can email that email address that is in the chat. I know I said prior, but we have been recording this webinar. We'll be posting it and sending it out on Friday. We are going to be doing a survey after this, and we would really, really love your feedback. Any feedback that you have for us is always great feedback, so that we can continue to serve you better through this office. I don't see any other questions coming through.
Michaela, am I allowed to leave a homework assignment?
Absolutely.
It's not a Florida Bicycle Month homework assignment other than to go ride, join Love to Ride Challenge and go ride. But sometimes we get this a lot about legislative policy and what are we doing about it. Here's the homework assignment. I want everybody to really think about this. The challenge for policymakers is how our needs help the community and fit into their policy making priorities. That's what we got to think about. That's the story we got to start telling. So that's the homework assignment.
I think that is great homework for everyone here. And I've never said that about homework before. So that is a first, and will probably be the last. But I do think that's a really great thing for everyone to think about, because legislators are very accessible, especially getting through someone like you. If they want to use you or your organization to really have their needs heard, that's what Florida Bicycle Association is there for, to kind of speak for the bicyclists in the state of Florida, and same thing with Bike Florida. So I really want to thank both of you for your time today, and thank you for answering all of those questions and the really, really educational presentations. I know I enjoyed it so much, and the feedback that I've been getting from people is that they enjoyed it as well. So again, I want to thank both Becky and Lisa for joining us today, and I want to thank all of you for joining us at our March installment of our Outdoor Florida webinar series. We will be having our next webinar on April, I believe it is going to be April 13th, 10 a.m. Eastern time. You can register for that on the floridadep.gov/OGT website. I will go ahead and put that in the chat. But thank you again for joining us, and I hope to see you at one of our next webinars.
It's been a pleasure, Michaela, and happy cycling, everybody.
Happy cycling.
Yes, thank you, Michaela, and happy cycling.